the best one ever. Going to be the best
to the world.
meeting ever.
All
All right.
We're in. We're
in.
here.
We're live. If you're in Southern California, don't know if you know, but it's raining. And for those of you all who are up in the Los Angeles area, I'm hearing it's really not good right now. Julia, is that where you're at?
Yes, it's bad.
Like 9 inches bad, right?
Yeah, literally yesterday afternoon, maybe like 4, I drove from the valley to my house, which is in East Hollywood. So normally that's like a 15-minute drive. It took me almost a half an hour. The 101 was so flooded that I was like very happy that I drive a Subaru, because it was like I have all-wheel drive and I can actually like be in some water. And that it has not stopped raining for 24 hours. So that was about 24 hours ago. So I can imagine that I haven't been outside really at all today.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
I'm afraid to watch the news. I'm afraid of the landslide. I'm afraid of
there's a lot of landslides. Santa Barbara County is really getting it. The worst. So yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, hopefully everybody is safe and have gotten to safety, and we're here to give you some book recommendations today. So if you're Southern California, while you are stuck in the rain, you got something to do. Before we got on, I was just telling Andrea that I just finished this today, and Prophet Song, Paul Lynch. This is one of the perks of being a bookseller is you get to go to this thing called Winter Institute. I'm going to be able to have dinner with him on Sunday. So I'm super excited about that. So I wanted to get this read before I met him. And oh my God, I'm so glad I did. And oh my God, if you haven't read this yet, what are you waiting for? Get it? You will read this almost with your heart in your throat the whole time.
Yeah.
It starts off where you're just like, okay, things are happening, and then your shoulders go up, and then you're just like, but it's so good. And Colin McCann, my boyfriend Colin McCann, says I haven't read a book that's shaken me so intensely in many years. It's compared to Saramago. How do you say his name? Saramago. Orwell, McCarthy. It's got all of that. It's just, it truly is a masterpiece. It's just.
And there's a reason why it won the Booker Prize.
So, and over the years, I have to say, Booker, for me, it's one of those prizes that, for the most part, it's a solid prize, but sometimes it's like, this one knocked it out of the park. I mean, this was amazing.
It's a good one.
So
it's scary because it's so like
relevant
and like over your shoulder looking. I mean, fascism is at the door, man, and it's so easy for it to creep into your culture and the way of thinking, as we've seen.
And the thing for me was the whole thing where it's like you don't realize when you should leave.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thread through the whole thing. And in all things, when when in Paris in 1943, or in Germany in the third, it's like you don't know when to leave.
When it's still possible to leave.
Right. Well, Deborah's my wife Deborah, being half Jewish, is foremost in her mind is like, where do we go? And it's Scotland for us. We've got our plan B if things get like that, if there's another Trump term and beyond, who knows what'll happen. But you got to get out when you can get out.
I know, because you think that because there's I'm sorry we're talking so long about this, and we'll get on to some new recommendations because there's a lot of you and there's lots of things, but I'm
excited about it.
Force in my head. It's just that when we're also, and we don't consider ourselves naive, and we don't consider ourselves like innocent, but we kind of are. We kind of always think like, oh, it's not that bad. Oh, somebody will fix it. Oh, somebody will do the right thing, but
when they destroy all the institutions.
Yeah.
We've been lucky. The institutions have held so far, but we've seen them rocked and we've seen them change.
Right. Oh, anyways, it's just
it's
so
frightening.
Good, so
it's a brilliant book. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Because he made it so
He made it so good. I have no idea what order y'all are in on Facebook, so we're just gonna go Gabe, Andrea, Julia, Tom, because that's how I'm seeing all of you. And then as long as y'all don't turn your cameras off and confuse me, that's
Don't tempt us. Don't tempt us.
So Amanda,
Julie's
make
confused.
sure. Oh, see, Gabe did it on purpose. I
Yeah,
knew
right.
it. I knew it. And now I might make it last now, Gabe, just for that.
Yeah.
Because that's just
that's his hope. That's what he's hoping.
Yeah.
I'm
And
going to
so
be sent
Amanda
to the
makes
principal's office again. Come on.
exactly. It's going on your permanent record, dude.
There's no room.
Amanda, make sure you let them share screen and let Gabe go first, I guess. Jesus.
As soon as I can share screen, I can get out of your way.
Please. Please.
Okie doke. All right. So today or tomorrow, we are publishing the third book in the Daughter of the Moon Goddess, or the Celestial Kingdom realm.
These are such great covers.
These are like the best covers. I made these smaller because they're not the new books, but they are available in paperback. And Daughter of the Moon Goddess just took off on us. It really was a phenomenon. And Heart of the Sun Warrior followed right alongside of it. Great sales, continues to sell really well in paperback. And the third book, Tales, is actually 9 stories set in this world. So I think, the fans are going to come. It's, keep hearing romantasy. Harper's been at the front end of romance, and we've never really had a big fantasy sci-fi world. It's kind of broad, but not like big book like oriented. But with the romantasy, we're players in this world, and we can sell some books, and we've spotted some really fun talent. And Sulin's books are really special. And this book, the added bonus is the visuals. On this book, it's just decorated inside with original art. Every of the 9 stories has got its own piece of art included in the front. It is brings together the duology and gives the reader just a little extra. So they're intertwined, they're all connected. Everybody will get the references, and the world will be very familiar. So I'm looking forward to these getting out. But it's kind of cool to have a book that has it's worked at one level. Now we get some cool visuals to go with it. I'm a fan of extra stuff in books.
Agree, 1000%. And it just is that extra little added that makes it fun. Okay, I've got some good comments that while we were chatting, I wasn't looking over at Facebook, and Kim's on here, and she just finished Cold Victory. So whose book isn't that? One of your books? Somebody Cold Victory is one of yours, isn't it?
Mine.
The Carl Melantis, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So that one, and
yeah, that's a Grove book, just like.
Yep, and she can't wait for her Finnish relatives to read it. He nailed it. She said he nailed it personally, but then also, I think this one's yours as well, Beth. Andrea, because Beth is reading My Father's House, the Joseph Conrad book, and she got the same feeling with that as I'm describing with Prophet Song, which it definitely has that same sort of in your throat a little bit. So
excellent. Those are all just really immersive novels too. So Beth, who's reading up a storm?
She is reading up a storm. Okay, wait. Who has Maddow's book prequel? Is that any of yours?
Who's what?
Prequel? Rachel Maddow?
No.
That must be that would be Steve's, huh?
Or Steve or Wade. I can't remember.
One of the two. Yeah. So somebody's reading that. So yeah, lots of good books out there. Definitely. Okay, Andrea, it's your turn. So now with all those good books that everybody's reading of yours, give them something new to read.
Okay. If somebody could let me share my screen. It got disabled somehow. Okay. Thank you. I want to talk about The 7 Skins of Esther Wilding. This is from Holly, not Molly Ringland. And she is the international best-selling author of The Flowers of Alice. This summer, it was made into that first book was made into a 7-part series, The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart, and that was starring Sigourney Weaver. And that was launched on a streaming service that I don't want to talk about here by name, but it rhymes with Babylon Crime. Okay, so you might get it from those clues. And this is a magical tale, kind of moves into fantasy and fairy tale world. Our Esther Wilding, this book is about a sister whose sister is seen walking into the sea, and so she goes on a quest to find out what happened. And her sister Esther Wilding had like magical creatures and tales, like cryptic tales, like tattooed over her body. And there's 7 of significance that our protagonist goes around the world, all over the world, moving from Tasmania in Australia to Copenhagen, the Faroe Islands, all over the place to find out, really just learn about what happened to her sister and just, come to some peace with what happened. Let me see, this is a great, Sally Piper, who wrote Bone Memories, like has a great quote about this. Myths and legends are the touchstone to truth in this epic journey through love, loss, courage, and kinship. But the 7 Skins of Esther Wild is also an elegant and mesmerizing tribute to the places that hold our stories, heart, and memories. Holly Ringwald, Ringland, see? Holly Ringland writes with such tenderness, wit, and imagination about all these things that it's impossible to come away from this magical story unchanged. So that's exciting. And it's also got some cool visual content here, which is nice. So it's a beautiful package. It's a trade paper back here, so at $19.99, so that's nice. And it's fantastic. Also, Molly will be at Winter Institute to talk to all the indie booksellers, so you may run into her, Julie.
Oh, awesome. Because I was just saying, so I was wondering if that book might be there at Winter Institute.
Well, yes, and if you cannot find a copy, you know who to talk to.
I know who to talk to about that. That another great book. I just might be buying all the books today just for the covers.
Yeah, that is a good one. It's kind of in the same realm as Gabe's
yeah,
triumvirate that he had there. So
those are some good covers. All right, Julia, what you got for us?
Okie doke. I have Love Song for Ricky Wilde by Tia Williams. Yet another author that will be at Winter Institute next week. If you run into her there, Julie,
I'm gonna have some fun next week.
I know, but this is a follow-up to her previous novel, 7 Days in June, that did extremely well for us at Indies. This is a romance, it's sort of contemporary romance title. It's gotten starred reviews, as you can see, in Publishers Weekly, Library Journal, and Booklist. And this one follows this woman who sort of tries to get away from her family in a way and ends up in Harlem and sort of in this group of artists that are kind of keeping the Harlem Renaissance alive in a way. And so it's full of these, like, it's a love story between Ricky Wilde, this woman, and this other artist. And it's awesome. Like, it's such a great story. She's such a great writer. It's so much fun. I think it's a great rainy day book. And it sort of like imbues sort of the magic of the Harlem Renaissance in it. So just a really fun one. Like I said, a follow-up to 7 Days in June that did so well, and people loved that book so much it was New York Times bestseller. So this is the next one from Tia Williams. Warwick's has 3 copies, I think. So go ahead and pick it up there.
Perfect. And Dee just ordered it. So
cool. Great.
Or you got somebody ordering that. Awesome.
Anyway.
And Tom, we have to talk afterwards. We have to talk about how fun it was interviewing Tana French.
Oh yeah, that's right. I haven't seen you since.
I haven't seen you since then. So after we're all done, we'll have to
Oh,
gossip
yeah.
about that a little bit. That was really fun. Oh my God. That
Yeah.
was so much
And
fun.
we'll be talking about that book very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, you're up. And Kim
Okay.
has joined us. Hi, Kim.
I know. Kim came in while we were talking, I think.
Okay, what
right?
do you got, Tom?
Good. Okay, so my first book is Kiley Reid. So, Julie, this takes us back to January 2020, right? Such a fun age in the store. Wasn't that
God, yes. Was it
one of the
2020 or
last-
2019?
I think it was 2020. I think it was right before the pandemic.
I'm gonna look while you're talking.
Yeah, I have a feeling it was one of the last store events, but double
I
check.
think it was, and it was packed.
It was packed. And so that was an amazing debut, a debut that you just don't see that often, where a book just instantly becomes a New York Times bestseller and establishes a writer for her career. So it's exciting to have her new book, Come and Get It, which also I think Such a Fun Age had an iconic, this is a bag we did for Such a Fun Age, remember that? Really iconic images. So this has the pig on it, the hog. It's set in, the new book is set in 2017 at the University of Arkansas. And it's what happens when Millie is a resident assistant in the dorm. She's ready to graduate. She's got plans for herself. She wants to buy a house. She wants to get, kind of like okay financially. And into her world comes a visiting professor, Agatha Paul, who is there to work on like her dissertation about, or a book, I guess, or I think it's a magazine article about how young people see marriage and weddings. So they're going to conduct all these interviews with kids in the dorm. Well, this leads, I won't go into the details, but this situation leads to a lot of messiness between all of these characters as secrets are unveiled. Between the students and the visiting professor, a lot of interesting stuff. She's an easy read. Like Kiley's books just fly by, but there's so much happening beneath the surface. If you loved Such a Fun Age, you will absolutely devour Come and Get It. So a lot of the same themes of money and privilege. And that's one thing I love about Kiley's work is that she is not afraid. There's not enough books about young people and money and how hard it is. It's like she goes right at that issue. So this was one of the most buzzed about books of last week for sure, all over social media. And the reviews started dropping. Ron Charles in the Washington Post said, "You're in the presence of a master plotter who's engineering a spectacular intersection of class, racism, academic politics, and journalistic ethics." So it's been out a week or so, already hitting the bestseller lists all around the country, and really exciting to have a new book from Kiley Reid.
From Kiley Reid. And yes, Tom, it was January 14th, 2020.
Wow, we had no idea what was in store.
And to me, it seems like January, I guess everything pre-March of 2020 just seems like it was could have another world. Yeah,
2019, 2018, or January of 2020, all the same.
All the same. Yeah, it was just such. But Kiley Reid, and she's just lovely. I just love her.
She's a total delight in person. Yep. So if you ever have a chance to see her, but on the page, it's really exciting to have it. It's been too long. So and she's been, since she studied at the University of Iowa at the Iowa Writers Program. She's taught at I think she taught at Arkansas. The book is set at the University of Arkansas, so you have the South thrown in there. And then she's currently teaching at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. So she's spent time in these years listening to students, and so she gets all that exactly right.
Yeah. So good. All right, Kim, you're joining us. What do you got for us today?
Oh man. Okay. I have my first book, is Martyr by Kaveh Akbar. And I think you guys already talked about this. It's a debut that came out 2 weeks ago. And it's the author is an Iranian American poet and a faculty member at the University of Iowa, which is sort of a hint that he's a really good writer. And as you know, I think it's about a 30-ish-year-old Iranian American, Cyrus Shams, who is dealing with loss and trauma and a lot of other things. he lost his mom when he was an infant. You know, he was Iranian living in Iran when her plane was accidentally shot down by the US military. And that's based on an actual flight that we did accidentally shoot down. And his dad subsequently immigrated to the US with Cirrus. He was an only child, and which is interesting, right? And he had sort of a miserable job at a Midwestern poultry farm, all while Cyrus was growing up. And he, you know, at the beginning of the book, he had died recently. And Cyrus is, when we meet him, he's sort of in a horrible addiction crisis, alcohol and drugs, but very shortly, it's a few years later, and he's recovering. He recovered, basically, newly sober and struggling with a lot. Growing up without a mom and that history behind her death, guilt about his dad's unhappy life, racism, biculturalism, and just feelings of sort of hopelessness, uselessness, depression, grief, and alienation. And the book sort of follows him, his sort of, just like the author, he's a poet, and he becomes obsessed with death and martyrs and creating or doing something in his life that's meaningful, that really matters. And the book kind of, it's told mostly in the first person by him, with a few chapters that are narrated by other people, an uncle, his dad, his mom, that give us a lot of background. But it's a very, very deep and philosophical book, while at the same time, it has a ton of humor and wit. He's extremely witty. And a lot of sentences just stopped me in my tracks, and I had to just read it again and think about it. It really had a huge impact on me. And I talked to Julie about this book. I talked to Mary about this book. And she came in and we were reading it at the same time. And she said, it was after the weekend, and she said, "What did you think of the ending?" And I said, yeah, it has sort of a, not to give a lot away, but it has sort of an open-ended ending, which not everyone is comfortable with. And being an optimist, I decided how I was going to interpret it. And I told Mary this, and she embraced it. And we both decided that the ending didn't ruin it. It kind of made the book for us. But just, if you read it, go into it knowing that the ending is ambiguous. It's sort of like choose your own adventure and how you interpret it. And one thing I really liked about the book also is that he's bisexual, but that is something that he is not grappling with. You know, it's like we're over, you know, it's kind of like we're finally at the point in time where, you know, we can have a character who's bisexual, and it's like not a huge issue for him. And I found that really refreshing.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, it's supposed to be so good. I haven't read that one yet.
It's really,
the writing's amazing.
It's really amazing, and the story is amazing. He takes a lot of risks, and it's really good.
It's good. Okay, we're gonna run out of time here, so let's get to Andrea again. We got a second round coming up. Okay, Andrea, you're on. Wait. No, it's Gabe. See, Gabe.
Who was gonna tell her? Who was gonna tell her?
You turned your camera off. You got out of order on me, and you're on mute. Gabe, are you talking? Because we can't hear you.
I'm not talking. Why would I talk? So I'm going to try to be fast. We're already a half hour in. I know. And I do not. This is what I want to share with you guys. 14 Days, a collaborative novel. A lot to talk about this. I don't want to give it short shrift, but I'll do what I can.
Don't short shift it. We got time. People will stay for us, so take your time.
I got to get off before 5. So.
Oh, okay.
And I now over an hour is a long time for everybody to sit. So 14 Days, it's a collaborative novel edited by Douglas Preston and Margaret Atwood. It takes place
Gabe, we're not seeing that, right? We shouldn't. Don't you want us to see?
You're not seeing that?
No, we're seeing your Edelweiss page.
We're seeing why we read.
How about now?
Now
There
you
you
got
go.
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks,
So-
Tom. I'm glad somebody's paying attention.
Somebody got to be paying attention. So yeah, I thought it switched over kind of easily. 14 days, 36 writers, Tommy Orange, Margaret Atwood. You can see all the contributors there. Eggers, Celeste Ng, 36 contributors. Takes its cue from Boccaccio's Decameron, but where in the Decameron, people had left the pandemic and gone out. This is also a pandemic novel. We've been announcing this for like 2 years now. So it's the early days of the pandemic. People that are stuck in the city get up and remember the banging of the pans, thanking the all the workers, doctors, ambulance drivers, etc. So it turns into a gathering on the rooftop, and one of the apartment dwellers sets up sort of this ad hoc studio salon of sorts, and people begin to tell stories, and you get some of the most quotidian, nonsensical Shaggy Dog kind of stories. You get some very personal stories. You get some very revealing and telling stories. The tales run the gamut of the spectrum of the universals, and each story divulges a little bit, no matter how mundane, divulges a little bit about the character telling the story, which kind of puts together this puzzle. Felt like a puzzle. Took me back to Georges Perec's book, his first book that he published, and I can't remember the title of it right now. It'll come to me before I'm finished. So it's really well done. It doesn't read like a collaborative novel at all. It really does have that feeling, and it is one of the main characters is the superintendent, who's a young woman who has taken over her predecessor, who has kept kind of a log of the characters, and each character has a nickname, and each character and their foibles and their fears and their anxieties and things. So there's a lot of notations about the characters that we see kind of secondhand away from the characters, and then their exposition. So I thought it was terribly cleverly done, and I am recommending it to those fans of the Decameron, fans of Georges Perec. What's it? Georges Perec is going to kill me. I'll put it in the chat later.
Look it up and put it in the chat later, because honest to God, Gabe, those collaborators look, I mean, I just want to read it just to see what everybody, and to see if you can kind of pick out who wrote what.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm going to make us go longer, but this novel you're talking about reminded me of this from 1997, Naked Came the Manatee. This was a collaborative novel of Carl Hiaasen, Elmore Leonard, Dave Barry.
I remember that.
But they don't come along that often, but this was one from the past.
That's a good one.
Cool.
I remember that.
Getting the list, Gabe, that you put up, all those collaborators, it's incredible who collaborated on that. I mean, yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, no, I got to pick that one up for sure. Okay, now I think it's Andrea's turn.
Okay. I'm going to talk about Big Meg, the story of the largest and most mysterious predator that ever lived. That is the megalodon. So you see that small shark on the cover? That's a great white. It looks like a brook trout compared to the Big Meg. And this is written by Tim Flannery, the great explorer and scientist and writer, with his daughter, who's also a scientist and writer, up and coming star. David Attenborough calls Tim Flannery in the league of the all-time great explorers. He's pretty amazing. He started out, he's an international bestseller. He started out with Throw 'Em Away Leg, which is about his exploration in Papua New Guinea. He has discovered more species than Darwin. He's really fun to hang out with. I drank some whiskey with him in Washington, D.C. many years ago. Anywho, his adventures in science and paleontology all got started when he found a megalodon tooth fossil on the beach when he was like 13 or 14. It could fit in his palms of his hand. It's that big. That's what got him interested in everything. And this is the story of Big Meg. Was around 15 million years ago, now extinct. I know, that we're all conservationists, but I'm kind of glad that Big Meg ain't around now.
Me too. Jeez.
No one would be dipping their toes in the ocean, okay?
Ever.
Atlantic Monthly Press, a hardcover at $27. It's got 4 or 5 photographic inserts and some illustrations. It's a really cool book.
Looks really cool. And so he really found it. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's an old fossil.
Yeah,
It's been
incredible.
for a long time.
All right, Julia, what you got for us?
Okey-doke. My next one is a Julie favorite. That's
Julie, can't wait.
It's coming out tomorrow. It's
Oh,
called
finally.
Ordinary Human Failings
So
by
good.
Megan Nolan. So this is Megan Nolan's second book. Her first one, Acts of Desperation, was critically acclaimed. And this one it's way different than the first one, but is about this child who as a part of this like Irish immigrant family, all of whom are sort of having issues of various kinds. The child is sort of suspected of this violent crime. And then this Irish family lives in London and is sort of, looked at as this like, these people coming here kind of thing. In the British press as they sort of dig into this event. And it sort of spills out a lot of these secrets that this family is holding. And also it's a critique of British sort of news and British culture that sort of does these things to people within Britain. Julie, I know, loved it.
I've loved it. So good.
And I've heard, a lot of booksellers that have read it have really loved it, even though it's way different than Megan's first book. It's just as good and just a riveting read. She is a stellar writer. And so this one's no different. She's Irish writer, but so sort of knows the nuances of Irish family in such a way that she can really like get this point across. It's a really great book. And yeah, I recommend it.
Oh, I highly recommend it. And it's one of those things too that I think some people sometimes get a little, here, I'm going to stop share.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Oh, I can't.
I got it.
No,
I got it.
Some people get kind of, when there's a child that's murdered, I mean, they get kind of, might take like, oh, I don't know if I want to read that. No, it's she does it really well, where it's not like, I'm losing my words. My words aren't working for me today.
It's not like traumatic to read.
Correct. There you go.
Yeah. And so, but it does sort of look at when these acts of violence happen, particularly amongst certain populations, how do we cover it and how do we sort of get that news, and then
Right.
what happens to those people in real life.
Yeah. It's so good. It's a really good book. All right, Tom.
All right. One of my favorite books of the new year is just out, called Hard by a Great Forest by Leo Vardashvili. This is set in the country of Georgia, in Tbilisi, primarily. So it's about a character named Saba, who is in his 20s, but he and his brother and his father escaped Georgia after the Soviet invasion to England. And now his father has gone back to Georgia and disappeared. His brother has just gone back to Georgia and disappeared. And so Saba himself now has to go to try to find them. So it's a story of a lost home. And it's set in 2015, when it's really true that the zoo in Tbilisi, there was a flood and the animals, many of the wild animals, escaped. So there are scenes of, he's in a cab, he's driving around this urban landscape, and there's a rhino or a tiger, which adds there's a real surreal quality to the whole story, and that just enhances it. But it's based on, or you can YouTube it. There are pictures of these animals in this city. It's really incredible. But the book is a beautiful, you're on the journey with him, and it's a place I knew almost nothing about. You can't help but feel the echoes of Ukraine in the book. But it's really based on his own, Leo's own, he escaped from Georgia when he was 12. So there's political stuff, there's personal stuff, and it really reminded me a lot in terms of the sort of the surreality, but also the journey you're on, of one of my favorite books, which is City of Thieves. Very much in that same vein, because there's comedy, and then immediately there's violence, and then there's, then you're laughing, you're in tears. It's a really beautiful, powerful story. And then your boyfriend, Colin McCann, says, this novel
he's reading a lot these days.
This novel blows open the heart of the past. It's a mystery, it's a picaresque, it's a comedy, and it's an authentic song of belonging and unbelonging. Tender, raw, and funny, it's a rattling good read about the loss of home and the primacy of storytelling. So take it from him, take it from me. It's a really great debut. It's a debut novel, which we all love to discover. Yeah.
I love discovering debuts. It kind of reminds me, anytime you mentioned the comedy, because I don't remember very much comedy in Constellation of Vital Phenomenon.
Oh, you're right, though. That is a good comparison.
Yeah, because I was like, I was wondering if it was going to be similar to that, but I don't remember much comedy in that one.
Well, and to be honest, I mean, there is comedy in here, but that's not what you walk away from.
No. But it's one of those things where it's like, sometimes it was like, what was I just reading? Not this one, but I was reading something else just that I finished the other day. And the new Chris Whitaker. And there's times where it's like, this whole murder mystery, but it's like, there's times where it's just like laugh out loud, funny things happen. Right. It's like, no, we're in the middle of a murder mystery here. But
right.
Yeah.
Well, and I also love how he weaves the title Hard by a Great Forest comes from Hansel and Gretel. So he weaves in fairy tales throughout also. They play a role. So there's a lot going on in this book. A lot to learn.
Love it. And I've totally missed a lot of the comments, but there's two that I wanted to make. Gabe, when somebody talked about your book with all the collaborative authors, Kim wants to know, how's the book tour going to work for that one? That's a book tour that I would want to go see for sure. It's like all those people on stage.
You'd have to fly on different planes and buses, so in case the moon went down, you wouldn't lose like
all of the young giants, literary giants.
Be amazing. And then Andrea, I can't remember who on here wants to have a Valentine's Day where you tell us everybody you've had a drink with.
That's right.
You've had drinks with some pretty interesting people.
Yeah.
Only the best writers.
Only the best.
I can tell you really quickly about the time I stood next to oh my gosh, what in the heck is his name? This is terrible. It's on the tip of my tongue. There was a fatwa against him.
Salman Rushdie.
Salman Rushdie. Sorry, there's been so many. Salman Rushdie at the Playboy Mansion. Okay,
Dang.
that was a really.
Are you telling us now, or we have to wait for that story?
We'll tell you. We'll tell you later.
We'll have to save that one for the Valentine's thing, because the Playboy Mansion, Salman Rushdie, was that at the Prince party? Because wasn't Prince at the Playboy Mansion?
No, it was during like BEA one year. We had Grove did a Playboy retrospective, so we got.
I remember hearing about that, but
of course they did. Pretty awesome. All right, we've digressed a lot. We got to get out of here so Gabe can get his last book rec in. Gabe, if you have to leave, we just peace out at us after.
You won't miss me.
Okay, yeah, we will. Okay, Kim, what you got?
Okay, my next book, this is a first for me. It's After Annie by Anna Quindlen. I'd never read her before, but I know she's hugely popular. And this book, now I understand why I'm listening to it. It's lovely, lovely, lovely. And in this book, a 30-something-year-old mom suddenly dies of a brain aneurysm, leaving behind her 4 young children, oldest is 13, and her husband and her best friend. And the book chronicles how they all cope with this and survive that first year, with reflections and scenes from the past. And it's just a beautiful, very deeply moving story about love, loss, friendship, marriage, family, and community. and how we never really lose a loved one. You know, they live on in our memories and continue to kind of nurture us and help define us for the rest of our lives. And the book's just full of hope.
Call you back in a bit.
What? Oh, sorry. It's full of hope, love, and connection. And it's really, it's, as a mom, it's sort of a lovely celebration of motherhood, you know, and it kind of makes you feel good about yourself. But it's just lovely. You know, anybody looking for sort of a moving story that's also just full of love and hope and connection, this is it.
Perfect. That comes out February 27th. So you can pre-order it from us. And she's also going to be at Warwick's on March, not Warwick's, but we're taking her to USD. But I think Anna is going to be, where am I at? I know it's in March. There she is, March 20th. To March 20th if you're in San Diego. There you go. Thank you. Thank you, Amanda, getting it quicker than I am. But yeah, thanks, Kim. Because that's she's lovely. We've hosted her at the store before, and she's just amazing.
You can tell by her writing, she's obviously the loveliest person.
Yeah, she's good. All right, now we're going to go to the lightning round. So, Gabe, whoever you're going to call back later. And you're on mute again. We're having a technical day today, man.
Well, I'm having that kind of day. We're having some familial drama with my mama's house and renting and stuff.
I get you. You should see the texts that are coming in from my family. So it's like, okay.
Oi. So lightning round, why we read a real simple book that we have high hopes for, because Shannon Reed contributes all over the place, the New Yorker. She's a college prof in Cincinnati, somewhere in Pennsylvania area. I don't know, somewhere back east. Lifelong reader, and she is a really fun writer. She is a very effective writer, and she is, like everybody on here, an absolute book nerd and someone who has read from the beginning. And she states the obvious. The reason most of us read is, those of us that are real readers, is for enjoyment. I know there's people that learn how to read in high school or as adults, but those of us who, like, the moment you picked up your first book and you were like, I need another hit, like right now. Remember that? And how you got all crazy in your library cards and the book club and stuff. So that's for these people. And I think a lot of books about books lately, but I think the reader, you know, when we talk about books about inclusion, it's because you never see yourself in the, you know, people who don't see themselves in the books or the movies, etc. So readers will see themselves in these pages. And it's all about her primary theme is you read for fun. That's why the book addicts are, we started reading for fun, continue. We read to escape, we read to learn, we read to get a new recipe, we read to be seen, to discover new worlds. I mean, we read for a lot of different reasons, but I think those of us who do reading has made us, and does make us, more fully human, other people's experiences, even if they're fictionalized. So, you know, she just talks a lot about the poignant ways in which reading affects the reader, the chemical thing that goes on. She pokes fun at some of the genres, but much respect to the genres, because I feel like a kid. She definitely feels that, you know, shaming genre readers is a lot of reason people don't go into bookstores necessarily, because they don't, you know, it's like, oh, we don't have that, or romance. You know, a lot of, if you're a reader, you got a vice, you got some junk in your drawer that you don't want anybody else to see, whether it be a romance, or whether it be a funny book, or whether it be a cozy mystery. We all got our things. I'm not gonna name names, but we all got little dirty little secrets that we read that we would never tell our friends, because then we don't want to be diminished. But we all have that. If you're a reader, you read mysteries, you read romance, you read some kind of, you know, we used to read cereal boxes, for God's sake. So we'll read anything. And that's who this book is for. And she's got such a great voice. and you just pick it up and you laugh and you just roll with it. And it's the essays are really, really fun to read. So
be a really good gift book, especially for people in a book club.
definitely for people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it would be a really fun one, like in a book exchange or something, to give that as a gift.
Yeah.
All right. Or do you? Oh, there you go. Okay. I thought you had something else to say, Gabe.
I always do, but I bite my tongue because there's other people.
Used to, I wasn't able to read. I was not allowed to read at the table for dinner, but I would sneak it underneath the table and I would get like 1 or 2 pages in before I got in trouble.
As that would be the same thing as having your screen at the table these days, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, I think so. Probably. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Every Wrinkle Has a Story. This is by David Grossman, the acclaimed Israeli writer, known for his sometimes ponderous, like adult narratives. Not ponderous, but intense and serious. So this is a big departure for him. He wrote this during the COVID lockdown period. At the same time he vowed to only read books that were written before he was born, and so this is sort of an amalgam of those two veins. In that he writes a story about how aging, it's a celebration of aging and a celebration of wrinkles, and how every like line on your face tells a story. And Nina Messina is the artist here. I really like her stuff, and it's very whimsical and simple watercolors. And this is just this is a sweet little book. I mean, I think it's a special book. And I do like that it celebrates the wisdom that comes with age and aging, and you know, about how the marks on your face are emblems of that wisdom and should be something to be celebrated. So it's a great little kids book, and I also think a great gift book for adults who are turning 70 and 80.
I love it.
Yeah,
and maybe we should stop buying wrinkle cream.
Yeah.
Maybe this needs to be a book for the anti-beauty. We're going to pull you off screen share.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am very sorry. I thought I did that.
That's okay. Yeah. Let's say I'm still trying to get rid of those. I want those stories to go away.
I want my face to be a blank slate.
Yes, right. No stories.
I want
No
those stories to go away.
Tabula rasa face.
No, we earned these faces.
Oh, I love it. Like these
Proud
gray
of
hairs.
them.
All right, Julia, what do you got?
Okie doke. I have a political book that was a drop-in title for us. Sort of came up quickly and just came out last week. And the author has been everywhere. It's called Find the Votes, by Michael Isikoff and Daniel Klaidman. And it's about Fani Willis, the Georgia prosecutor who is prosecuting Trump for the basically that phone call, but in trying to find 10,000 votes or whatever he was down in Georgia. It's got some big bombshell stuff. It's also got some stuff that we knew, but sort of put in a narrative that's sort of easy to follow. So if you've been like me following it in bits and pieces, kind of as it comes up in your Twitter feed, this is the sort of full narrative behind it. Michael Isikoff, his previous book was Russian Roulette, about the Russia scandal with the 2016 election. He's an award-winning investigative journalist, as is Daniel Klaidman. So this one, you might, if you watch sort of cable news and things like that, you might be seeing Michael and Daniel on those shows. They've been making the rounds there, and this is the book that they're promoting.
All right. just one of those topics that's like, holy moly, can't get enough of it.
I know, it's like not the fun, it's not the most fun topic, and also at the same time, like I feel like we're like, okay, yeah, I gotta know about this. So
I gotta know about it. Well,
Yeah.
just going back to, well, it goes back to this book, it goes back to a lot of different things. It's like you gotta educate yourself and you gotta
Yeah.
pick sources that are in the know. And so that's the beauty of that. So
And the
All
Trump
right.
quotes, the Trump quotes that work perfectly as book titles is kind of incredible. Find me the votes. Yeah, that's a
oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah.
And it
Well,
looks like
so-
we lost Gabe because I think Gabe had to go. So
He's gonna miss this I'm gonna take you to a really fun place, which
There you
is
go.
the art world. Get the Picture by Bianca Bosker. So her first book we published a few years ago called Cork Dork, which was an absolute blast. That was her taking us inside, removing the curtains of the wine world. This mysterious place that by design we're not supposed to be understand everything. And so now in the new book, it's the art world, which is another mysterious place laden with language we don't understand, all sorts of things. And so she's one of these journalists who goes right into that world and and immediately there are roadblocks that come up. The gallery people are like, all of them, everyone she talks to at first is like not giving away any information. They don't want her there. Some of them threaten her. They really don't want the curtains pulled. But gradually she wins them over, different people over. And so it's about the gallery people, the collectors, the curators, and then the art itself. And she becomes like, she works in a gallery. She gets invited to the parties, the A-list parties. She works with a performance artist and yes, has her face sat on by a nearly naked performance artist. So she's going all the way into this world. And she she's works as a security guard in the Guggenheim. So she sees the art world from all different perspectives. And it's entertaining, it's smart, it makes you smarter about the world, about the art world. It's so much fun. I could pull out any line. She's a really great writer too, but I love this one. Art devotees spoke like they were trapped in dictionaries and being forced to chew their way out. When she told the curator that a performance art piece was boring, the curator disagreed. It wasn't boring, it was durational. So these are the kinds of things you discover when you enter the world of Bianca Bosker. So I highly recommend this. It's just a great read. Get the Picture. Subtitle: A mind-bending journey among the inspired artists and obsessive art fiends who taught me how to see. So she loves the art world, but she's poking the bear for sure.
I'm poking at it.
With good reason. I mean, some of these people are nuts.
Well, they do take themselves a little too seriously at times.
Yes, they do.
All right, Kim, wrap us up.
Yeah, I'm watching The Bear right now. Boy, is that good. Okay, my quick pick is a cookbook. It's simple. Milk Street Simple. It's actually my first Milk Street cookbook, and I bought it sort of on a whim. I buy cookbooks sometimes when I'm really hungry at the end of the day. And but it's been one thing, it's been selling incredibly well. And I love it. Actually, it has 200 recipes. They're short ingredient list and they're very fast active time. Some of them, you cook them for a while, but the prep time's really short, and they're fun. They're not boring. They use fun ingredients, and I'm really impressed. And I actually was talking to a couple of friends today, and we're all in the same rut right now. None of us, we want great food, but we don't want to spend a lot of time shopping and cooking. And so we were talking about this kind of cookbook, and I did notice, the Jamie Oliver's new one plus his older one, Simple, and Ottolenghi Simple, and all these simple cookbooks or 5-ingredient cookbooks are selling really well right now. So I think we're not alone. And also by one friend said that her absolute favorite cookbook, you know, for cooking for her family on weeknights, that it's like her go-to. She's like, I think I've cooked every recipe in the book and they're all good, is another Milk Street title, Tuesday Nights. And I think I'm gonna buy that tomorrow. So if you're looking for simple but delicious, it's the way to go.
Julia, is Milk Street, are all Milk Street yours? All of them are?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes, indeed. They're
Yeah.
I think they're artisan. Yeah.
Artisan. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, everybody. We made it under an hour. So Gabe, there you have it. Yeah, I wonder if Gabe's going to go back and watch the end of this. If I was a betting person, I would say no.
No, I'm not taking that.
I'm not taking that bet either. All right, everybody. Really good books this week. I mean, we have good books every week, but lots of stuff from everything you can think about.
Every kind of reader, I think.
Every kind of reader was covered today. So there's something for everybody. So again, if you're in California, stay safe, or anywhere where there's bad weather going on.
And
stay
thanks
safe.
for all the great comments, and thanks for reading so widely.
Yep. Everybody in the comments was great today. And
Yeah.
so, and Matt, I saw your comments, but I was like too late to get to them. So I'm sorry about that. We'll get to them next time. All right, everybody. Cheers. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Good one.
I think
Yeah.
we're still on.
Oh.
Amanda, you got to turn us off and you got to stop our recording.
You didn't say anything bad, Andrea. Now you can